let's talk about something that I see trending for back to school. It is to put embroidery on the sweatshirt cuff. So what I did was I measured 2 inches up from right here and I marked it. And then I measured 3 inches over from the seam. So you see I have a seam on my jacket. I went from the seam of the sweatshirt. This happens to be a small Gildan sweatshirt. So 3 inches over, 2 inches up. And then I marked my center, because what I'm going to do is when I get it to the machine, I'm going to press the laser button and I'm going to make sure that that laser hits right there in my center, because that's exactly where I want it to be. So I'm going to use one piece of cutaway because it's not that many stitches. I'm going to slip my cutaway in here. Now, I'm using a font called Brush Script Revised, and for every font there's a suggested minimum and a suggested maximum. Well, the suggested minimum on Brush Script Revised is 0.65, but I've been sewing that font for about 20 years and I've sewn it at 1/2 inch a lot because the medical field loves that font. So when we put names on jackets and things, it's almost always brush script and it's almost always 1/2 inch. So I've definitely done it before, but if you do break the rules of the font, please sew it out first to make sure that it will sew out okay. I am going to put the ring of the bottom of my hoop, I'm going to put it into the bigger part of the arm. The reason I'm using this hoop is because I assume that almost everyone owns this one if you own this machine. Now, as I'm putting it in, I'm going to make sure that this is going to be accessible for me because I may need to adjust it. So I'm putting that adjustment part down so that it can stick out in case I need to get in there and kind of adjust it a little bit. So there we go. I have my backing in there. I have the ring of the hoop. Now what I'm going to do is, because I'm going to hoop it upside down, I'm of course going to flip my design upside down. I kind of want to get the mark of where I want the center to be kind of in the center of my hoop, but I don't have to be perfect because I can always just move it at the machine. So let me lay it here on the table and I am going to press down. And we are good. Now, it's a tricky hoop, so put your hand in there and make sure that your backing went all the way around, because you always want to sew on a nice taut surface, just like that, and we're ready to go. Now, if you have never done the sweatshirt cuff, what you may want to do is you may want to maybe print out your design or sew it out if you want. The only reason I would ever say sew it out, because if you're new to embroidery and you sew it out, chances are you're going to be like, ooh, I wish I would have used a different color. I wish I would have made it bigger. I wish I would have made it smaller. So sewing it out is kind of a cool idea, especially if you're new, because you can kind of get an idea and there won't be any surprises whenever you take it off of the machine. So it's just an idea, but you can also print it. There's an option in Design Shop where you can say print actual size, because if you haven't done this before, you want to make sure that the placement of your monogram is going to land in the right place and not the wrong place. So putting it on. We have the smallest arm in the industry, so it's not hard at all to get something like this on. I have my design upside down. I'm going to go ahead and press my laser. I have to move it over a little bit to get it where I need it to be. That's where I want it to be. So now I'm going to trace it. And let's do it. Let me take my pen out first. Taking it off, popping the hoop off. Then I'm going to just flip that part. So you can just use water if you want, and that kind of gets that ring off. You can definitely use starch, but just be careful if you do use starch that you don't stack the things. I think I have one little thread that needs to be trimmed. And there it is.